What's your imagination for a life living in a foreign land while not many ladies went to higher education in your near circle? Welcome to Innovate Me, a podcast with inspiring life stories from the first generation people. Those who are the first ones in their intimate circle to do or not to do something. Why is a first generation immigrant who is also the first one being a doctor in her family? She redefines what a life can be for her community, especially to women. As a first generation immigrant, a woman of color, a shy girl who just thought about providing a better life for her beloved ones. How does Hua become a doctor, a real estate professional helping people to realize finance freedom, and pass the life philosophy of serving others and being whoever you want to be to a daughter, the next generation? Innovate me. Become the person we want to be.
I am very curious, for first generation people, no matter is first generation immigrant, first generation entrepreneur, so on and so forth. Generally speaking, with or without the awareness, you have a vision for yourself. You have a picture that thinking, hmm, this is me and I'm becoming this person, or I want to be this. How did you figure out like who you wanted to be?
It's a matter of trial and error. Honestly, my journey of when I was going, like even as a young entrepreneur, I started working by age 10. I was in my mom's restaurant, little convenience store. I was always in the food industry, service industry, 60 to 80 hours a week. So trying to figure out what I wanted to do. My mom didn't like her aspiration for me. She didn't really care what I became. She never went to college, never went to school. My dad passed away when he was young. And so my mom was always one of those who was really supportive in whatever I decided I wanted to do. And so she said, just try to pick something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about. And if you can be your own boss, then that's great. And so that's her encouragement. And so trying to figure out what I wanted to do was like, well, I don't know. And so I enjoyed a lot of things. I was like, okay, I want to own my own business. I love travels. I didn't travel much. I traveled because we had to move, but not like vacation travel. But I was like, man, what can I do? I want to travel the world. I want to do some sort of business. That was my mentality as a young teenager. So I was like, I think I want to explore different options. So I worked at a lot of different jobs and I wound up doing a summer job in an optometry practice. And so, I was in college. I did international marketing and management because I wanted to do some sort of business. So I was in business school when I was in college. And then I decided, I switched gears to optometry and decided I'm going to become an eye doctor and own my own practice. And so it's a revolution of like, okay, well, I know I can do this. This is the blueprint. I take this course, I go to this program, I get this degree. And you think that's what you want, right? And I love it, right? It was a lot of hard work. I finished my bachelor's in undergrad. I applied to optometry school, finished my optometry, and then hustled for 4.5 years, bought my own practice, have two practices, so I did that. But even through that journey, it was still a lot of hustle and bustle. It was a lot of work still involved. And so gradually, I picked up real estate and I did other avenues. And so I don't have it all figured out, right? And so it's a journey of, okay, once you're actually pursuing it, and you have the degree and then you're actually working and doing it, then you decide, okay, is this for me or do I pivot? And my pivot point was because I had my daughter. And so once I had my daughter and she was born, she's 8 years old now, that was a pivot point for me from optometry to real estate because I wanted to figure out more freedom of time, flexibility of time to be able to be a good mommy, but also be a career woman. I love being in business. I love that aspect. But I also wanted to be a mom. That's one of the biggest blessings is to be a mom to Athena, is her name.
Mm.
So I'm like, how do we do it all? Like, I want to be able to enjoy it and be able to do it all. I don't want to have to pick or choose. I want to be able to do both well.
Okay.
And so I don't have, it's trial and error, going through the process. And again, surrounding myself with people that I felt, was in the space that I respected and that I could model and learn from. And
Mm,
that's how I kind of, switched gears and started learning and growing and scaling.
I see. But how did you decide it? I mean, like, there are many, many things you can select and try and do the hard work. How did you, go in from business and then thinking, I want to be an eye doctor? And
Yeah.
yeah, how did you make that
So the
decision?
eye doctor was because I did a summer job and I wound up being an assistant to the eye doctor. And so that eye doctor that I worked for, I was helping him, pre-test all the patients, and he was telling me about. And so just talking to the eye doctor and working for him
Mm,
kind of helped me, like, oh, and then he was telling me all the benefits of, especially if you want a career, you have a lot of options. You can work for someone, you can have your own practice,
mm,
you can do fill-in work, you can do as much or as little because there's a lot of flexibility in being an eye doctor. And you can be in academia and teach at a university, you can work at a hospital, you can work at your own clinic. So there's a lot of versatility in becoming an eye doctor. And so uh, I wouldn't have known that had I not had firsthand experience working with that eye doctor and having him kind of be my mentor to
mm,
teach me about the ropes of that.
mm, mm. So there is absolutely something, come into your life that you can digest and pick and choose, and also with the judgment for yourself, like, what do I want? Oh, I actually really like the versatile factor for this occupation, or I actually enjoy a part of the work life for an eye doctor, something like this. And also you mentioned about why did you switch again for your career into real estate because of your daughter. And that was very interesting to me because I just, realized one of my friends, she also changed to real estate because she wanted to spend time with her children. She was really passionate about her academia job, but then she's thinking, why should I pay all the money that I earn to a stranger? And then so this lady or this man will take pictures of my kids and then share it to me. And she said, no, no, that does not work. So she switched to the real estate also.
And for me, I didn't, I added on. I would say I didn't completely switch. I'm still an eye doctor. I still practice just very
Ah,
part-time. I still have two private practices, very
wow.
successful. But I hired additional doctors. So I go in very part-time, maybe once a week. And then the rest of the time, I focus on partnering and doing real estate and helping other people invest. And so it's not like I completely switched careers. I'm still an eye doctor by trade. I just now work very minimal. I work 1 day a week, sometimes twice a month. And
Mm,
so it's just a lot more flexibility. And even in my real estate hours, it's a lot more flexible because I partner with others. And so it's not like you're switching one career to another career. It's just working smarter, not harder. And how do you, the key word is leverage, right? And so it's all teamwork. And so I just built a bigger team for my eye care practice. I've built teams around my real estate business. And so that frees up my time. And I'm just high level, more like an owner,
mm,
instead of like actually in the business seeing patients as often. And
mm.
it's a career I've done that for 16 years. I mean, I still, love my patients. I have patients who will not see anybody but me
Oh.
because I've done it for 16 years. So I still love, very, very still passionate. I just happen to add on another thing on my plate, which I enjoy as much. I mean, real estate is like when people talk about, it's the vehicle of wealth building and you
Mm,
just don't know where to get started. And when you talk about multifamily specifically and the avenue that I'm in, it's very male dominated. So to have an Asian female be in the space, it's like, it's rare. And so coming into the space, I mean, I don't know, people probably like, yeah, right. But it takes time, and it's just it takes time. You have to surround yourself with people and mentors who are already doing successfully to collapse that time frame, to truly learn and be able to partner and leverage their experience. And that's how you grow and scale.
What's your secret to partner with the mentors and people you want to be with?
The truth is it's relationship. It's like building deep relationship and patience and adding value to them first.
Mm,
Because when you're new to the space, you can't have the mentality of, just get, you have to give, you have to be willing to learn. You're new in the space. And so we invest heavily in our education in that specialized niche of, multifamily. We invest in mentorship and masterminds.
mm,
And so we get to know people who are committed into investing their time, money in building this, in these groups. And after a few years of getting to know one another, then we feel comfortable enough to build that trust and friendship. And if their vision, if their values are aligned with us, that's how we started partnering with people. But it took time. I didn't just jump in and be like, here's let's partner. Like, I don't know who you are. I mean, it took time. Some of these partnerships happened after we intentionally built that relationship and got to know them. And it took a few years before we started partnering together, like on a level of being general partners. I would passively invest with people that I respected and, they were more experienced in the space with the hope that one day they would allow me to be partners with them as general partners, not just being a passive investor. But it's authentic relationship building, and you have to put in the effort to continually keep that relationship. You have to make the effort because they don't need you when
mm.
you're new to the space. You have to be able to add value to them to
Right,
want to get to know you.
right. Always adding values.
Always adding value is the key. And don't have the mentality of I want to get something. What can this person get? So
Um,
you have to just be okay and have no expectation of return. Just give as much as you can with the hope that there is synergy to do business together. The business part will come afterwards, but you have to be in alignment with the person and get to know them first.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's difficult, like you mentioned that if you don't know this person that much at the very beginning, and it's easy for that person to feel like, oh, you want to have something from me.
Mhm.
Like, but how are we going to let this person feeling, no, I absolutely been happy to serve as much as I could. Yet I guess the dance, it's
Yeah.
something that we have to do together.
In any business, in any relationship, because and it takes time and patience and commitment and true intention. It has to be authentic attention because people will know. If you're not for real, the true colors will eventually show, right?
Mm,
And so I think that's super important, meaningful, deep relationships. And as long as you create a win-win, and synergy is there, then everything else it'll work out. But I tell people be patient, don't expect immediate returns, or because then you'll be disappointed, and then people will feel like you just want to take something from them.
yeah, 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 absolutely. But it is hard to be patient.
It is, and it's an art. It's an art of, staying in the game. And a lot of people, if they don't see the results for all the hard work they put in, they quit. And I think that's one of my big things is the grit and perseverance of not quitting because, I mean, real estate was not an easy journey for us. And so when people see me now and what we've been able to accomplish, they don't understand the hardship and the things that we had to put in and the amount of time and effort, and that it wasn't easy for us to start our journey.
Mm, mm, mm. Speaking to the journey, there are different kind of first generation people, like first generation entrepreneur, first generation college grad, so on and so forth. Could you describe like what types of first generation you would consider yourself as?
Well, when I came, I was 8. So as far as first generation, and like I'm the first doctor in my family, especially female going to college. That was a big thing, considering that none of our family really, that wasn't academia, was not on the radar.
Mm,
So to not just go to college, but to be the first doctor in the family, um, was very different. But I had, I would say I'm blessed that I have a very, very supportive mom, very hardworking mom. And that above all has probably been my biggest blessing. So the hard work, I'm okay with that, right? The first gen, I mean, it's just trying to figure out the ropes, right? But being the change, and I feel like in my family, being that change point of not just being a doctor and then venturing into the whole real estate world and building this, but being able to help, the rest of our family too, here and in Vietnam. And so, and then, to help with a lot larger scale communities and nationally. So it's kind of like, everyone has a person in the family where you can break the chain, where I feel like, if financial hardship was a thing, it can take just one person to change the whole dynamics of that whole generation. But it takes someone who thinks very differently to surround themselves around someone, because if you're only in proximity of the people that you always hear the saying, your net worth is the 5 people you hang around with, your network is your net worth, right? And so it is very important to be able to put yourself out there, think outside the box, push beyond comfort zone in order to create change. And I think every individual has that capability to be that change for their generation in their family, and then create a ripple effect and build a legacy. And every individual has that. It's just a choice. And then figuring out, we didn't have role models as far as I didn't know anybody who was wealthy when I was growing up. I lived in a trailer growing up. I had no role models of anybody who had money, but it's something that now with the world of the internet, we didn't have the world of the internet when I was growing up, but now with so much resources, so much online, everything is in the pulse of your hand right now. There's so much people can learn and connect with, and model. I think it's huge. Mentorship and modeling, specifically someone who's doing what you want to do. That's the fastest way to do what you want to do, instead of just trying to figure it out yourself. There's a lot of people and resources to be able to do it quicker and smarter and more efficiently.
Yes. And it's very beautiful for you mentioning about the impact from your change, like you being the change, and how does that affect your immediate family? Like how does that model for other people and to break the dynamic? You also mentioned about your mom she has been very supportive for you. Could you share what is the thing that she provides you is the most important part to support you to continue your journey?
She's always been one of those very supportive. She doesn't tell me what I need to do. I think she respects me from every avenue of whatever I decide. She trusts that whatever my decision is it's going to work out. Even, when I first told her, Mom, I'm going to, venture into doing real estate, and so a lot of people are going to be like, okay, you're a doctor, what do you know about real estate? And she, a lot of people would discourage, which I did have a lot of people discourage me, but my mom was like, you just do. I trust that you surround yourself around the right people. You're going to get educated. So don't be fearful. Just move forward and do what you feel is right in your own gut. And so her words of encouragement and support, even having my husband's Hispanic, and when I first met him, it's been 18 years now. He's Mexican. And so sometimes in certain traditions, interracial can be a problem, And so she would have some friends or other family members or something where they would make some smart remarks about well, why is she dating a Hispanic or something like that? And for her, she doesn't think it like that. And so I'm very proud of her that she will stand her ground. She'll stand up for me. And she's like, don't even don't even let people with that type of energy get to you, because she goes, I just knock those people down, because I was like, it's her life, and whoever makes her happy, and if she's happy, I'm happy for her, because we all have red blood, we all, and so she's not judgmental in that sense, and she loves purely, and she's very giving, even though she never had anything. She's a role model, not just because she says things that are positive, but just by her actions. What you do is more important than what you say. And I see that with my parents, both of them, before my dad passed. They're so giving. Even though we don't have much of anything, they were always giving and taking in people who are homeless and things in America, right? Even though we didn't have much, but because they're role models by what they do, their work ethic, their relationship with their friends, their, who they are as a character. I cherish that. And that's her strongest point, is because of the person she is, the value system of what she passes down to me. I think that's, and she's beautiful. I always say she's a beautiful soul, because to her, it's not about the money, and she reminds me that all the time, to not let success get to your head, right? Always love people, be compassionate, be kind. And those are things that she always reminds me, and I live by that, right? And so I'm so proud of her.
And I bet she's so proud of you too.
Oh yes. So we have a very good relationship, so.
Because I heard influence from your mom to you, and you also mentioned about being the first generation of many things in your family. Do you see like the legacy, or is there any like the second generation is popping up?
My daughter, she's 8 years old. I'm huge into having her be part of my world. So she's very cognizant. She travels the world with me. We do love to do a lot of charity work and local community work and nonprofits. And so I take her in to be involved in that world, because I want her to have contrast, to understand true perspective of what really matters, right? Money is a vehicle to be able to provide more resources, but it's not the end all, do all. And so she's very kind and compassionate in that sense. And so my legacy is to create that ripple effect. And she is she is our little continued path. She's my little 8-year-old, but she's a very mature 8-year-old. She's very kind, super sweet. And so I was like, I hope you stay that way. Kids model. I think it's important that kids model what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. They watch and learn.
They watch and learn. They do. And so it's pretty cute. But that is, it is a legacy, not just for our family. I want to leave a legacy for our communities, right? For our teams that work with us, and and on a global scale. But I think at the core, I always tell people it has to start from within first, your own self, before you're able to create positive impact for your family, and then create a ripple effect. But yeah, that's the goal, is to create a legacy and a ripple effect, right, of impact.
You mentioned everything starts within ourselves. Then how did you support yourself in the low points during the whole journey?
Yeah, that's part of the huge thing. By 5th grade, I read a book called A Man's Search for Meaning. I mean, this is the 5th grade. It's by Viktor Frankl. And it just shows a lot of contrast in what perspective of, even in the worst, horrific times, that if you have a strong enough purpose and will inside, that you can overcome that. And if you make it, so I think it's really important that you always have clarity of the bigger why, that you're just not being busy. Yeah. And so I've had a lot of failures in my life where it drew me to a dark place, but I journal a lot. I write down good times. I write down bad times. I've journaled ever since I was really, really young, and to express my emotions, because because when I was younger, I was very shy. And even to this day, emotions, I journal. It helps me, but not just when I'm down. I journal also my milestones when I'm doing really well. Because when I go back and I read and I reflect on that and I remind myself, meditation, I do priming gratitude in the morning. I do breathing exercises. But those are things. So when we all go through it, and it's a yo-yo, you're never, nothing is linear. Even when things are going well in your life, there are going to be moments. We all experience, times when we're down or there's someone passing away or, hardship in your life. But it's important to remind yourself the deeper level of why. And gratitude, I think that's the biggest thing, is I'm always, always, always reminding myself how grateful of the good things in my life and the impact, what I want to beyond myself. And it has to be beyond just me. So that gets me out of my dark place when I know that I want to help so much more. And if I can overcome just this one more time, then I can help somebody else.
Just this one more time. Together. Well, let's do it one more time. But I'm sorry, there will be 1,000 one more time. But
exactly, and it's always
one
right?
more time.
Just get yourself out of this hole, and then you'll do fine. It's temporary.
It's so beautiful. Like you have a routine for yourself, and within your routine, the gratitude appreciation part is involved, and also very directly you remind yourself, like, what am I accomplishing that is beyond me, and put in the focus not only to ourselves but also to the group of people or the impact that you would love to create.
And that's important, because sometimes when you're in a dark space and you think it's just about you, it's your mind can play tricks on you when you're in that dark space, and it's easy to have negative thoughts. It's much easier to have negative thoughts than to have positive thoughts. And so I think
that circle of neurons, those kind of thing, it's so much smoother than when you're thinking about something good. I don't know why we are wired.
Right. And so you have to be able to, those voices in your head, to be able to have some sort of like, okay, get control of this, and what do I need to do to get out of this space, And I would say changing your environment, get out of your physical. Like I remember there are days where I just would not want to get out of bed. Like I just want to stay rolled up in my bed and feel sorry for myself, But I physically will get myself up to go shower, to get around people, and to just change that environment, right? I journal, I do my thing, I do my breathing, I do my gratitude practice, but I force myself to get out of bed, to get out and interact with people, and just try to pick one person that I can help. And that will get me out of my negative space.
Oh, wow. So not only about the routine that you have and giving yourself a different physical environment, but also you pick a person to help.
It helps. It works because I was like, and that's something that I know, because then my focus will shift, but I've learned through time that brings me back to my why. But I physically have to go and do that. If I just lay in bed, it's not going to
happen. Let ourselves to experience the movement, I'm not sure momentum is the right word, but the feeling that you desire to have. Momentum. I don't know what is to you, but to me it is a challenge to support myself to go through the low points, and it's a little bit difficult at the same time to keep the momentum.
Momentum is key. Momentum is key because once you start slowing down momentum, especially when things are going well, I think a lot of people start losing momentum because they get comfortable. They're at a good place. They're like, okay, we can start slacking a bit, or, and momentum doesn't always mean being busy. I don't mean momentum in the sense of you have to be busy or you want to acquire or you have to earn more. That's not the type of momentum I'm talking about. But momentum to grow here and here, to always, the drive when you're hungry of wanting to grow and feel that, I think you have to maintain that, because it's once you start laxing and you start getting too comfortable in the growth journey, I think that's where people start getting in trouble. When they start getting out of their why, their bigger why, and they just get kind of lazy, if I want to say that. There's other ways of growth, right? And you can, there's a lot of vehicles in your, there's lots of spokes on the wheel. And so you can pick another spoke of the wheel to grow your journey. But I think that's important that you utilize that momentum to continue to want to learn and grow. The most dangerous place during your growth journey is when you start getting comfortable.
In Hua's continuous self-realization and life-creating journey, she broke barriers and stereotypes. And she never stopped. Even now, she's already at a stage where many people would consider retirement. How does she use momentum? How does she continue her journey for herself and for the community? And how this thought made her start public speaking as someone who was reluctant to voice out when there were, I don't know, more than 3 people in the room. Please check the next episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving the podcast review, subscribing, and share the stories you love with your friends. You know how much it meant to me. No matter if you're already in your journey becoming who you want to be, or just at the door to step out. Enjoy life, enjoy now. See ya!